Hey everyone, today we're going to unbox and test the brand new SDR Play nRSP-ST network capable software defined receiver. This thing is an SDR on steroids. Among many other things, the nRSP-ST offers continuous coverage from 1 kHz to 2 GHz, up to 10 MHz of spectrum visibility, a 14-bit ADC for enhanced dynamic range, and a software-selectable bank of integrated filters. The device offers both Ethernet and Wi-Fi connectivity for remote access. The 3 software-selectable antenna ports offer great flexibility by being able to connect and switch different antennas. Antenna port B can provide up to 4.7 volts at up to 100 milliamps through an integrated software-switchable bias T, which can be used for a preamplifier or an active antenna, as I will show later. For higher frequency accuracy, a 24 MHz clock reference signal can be provided to the nRSP-ST through the ref-in MCX connector. Let's switch over to the bench and see what's inside the box. Having previously owned a few SDR Play products, I would assume that there's not gonna be much in the box except the necessities. But let's find out. So the first thing in the box is obviously the nRSP-ST itself. Over here we have the Wi-Fi antenna. Pretty standard, just goes right back here in this RP-SMA connector. And the last thing is going to be the power supply. This is going to be a fairly standard USB-C power supply. Let's see, there's a bunch of adapters, a lot of them. And the power supply itself. When you first unbox this, you're going to have to pick the right adapter for the country you live in. I live in Europe, so this is going to be the one for me. While editing, I just noticed that somehow I forgot to put the operating instructions back in the box before I filmed the unboxing part. So just know that there's also supposed to be a booklet with operating instructions in various languages inside the box. To get started, simply connect power and a network cable to the nRSP-ST. The device will boot up in under 20 seconds, during which the yellow status LED occasionally lights up. Once the boot process is complete, the LED will turn off completely. As with any new device, it's a smart idea to check for firmware updates before using it. For that, I'm going to use the nRSP Updater software, which can be found on the SDR Play website. With the nRSP-ST powered up and connected to the network, all I have to do is click on looking for nRSPs. It found my nRSP over the network immediately. The software mentions the firmware version, which is 1.0.8, and there's no update required at this moment, as this is the most current firmware available. Perfect, so I can exit the program and move on to the configuration. After starting nRSP Administrator, it automatically starts looking for any nRSP devices in your network. Any devices found will be listed here. In my case, it's just the one that I have, and you can select it and enter a password. I already have a password set, which I'm of course not gonna tell you, but if you haven't set a password yet, then it's going to be the serial number of the device that you have. Let's try this one. Okay, well that works. So the device is currently connected over Ethernet. There's the IP address that's been assigned, as well as the link speed. And the Wi-Fi, of course, out of the box is not configured. We will do that in just a second. Down here we see the firmware information. The version 1.0.8 is what we saw previously. Here's some additional information. Now you know when I filmed the video. And down here is the CPU temperature. Ethernet is going to be pretty boring if you are in a DHCP environment, which most people are going to be. But if you have some advanced settings or would like to set a static IP, you can do that here. Now the interesting part is the Wi-Fi. The moment I click on that tab, it scans for Wi-Fi's. You see there's a bunch that I'm going to blur out, and this is obviously my Wi-Fi. Now comes the problem of remembering passwords again. Let's see if that one was correct. Yes, it was. Now it threw me right back to the status page. Down here I can see Wi-Fi is now connected. Here's the IP address, and that is the static IP address it's supposed to get over Wi-Fi. Perfect. So at this point I could disconnect the Ethernet and just put the nRSP-ST outside somewhere. Actually, let me do just that right now. I quickly set up the nRSP-ST outside, connected it to a power bank and a basic mobile antenna. It's far from an ideal setup for my goal, receiving the crossband repeater aboard the International Space Station. To make things trickier, the upcoming ISS pass is best received from the opposite side of the building. Still, at peak elevation, I was able to clearly receive the downlink using SDRConnect from the comfort of my office with the nRSP-ST connected via Wi-Fi.
Papa Delta 4, Hotel Delta Bravo, shake you, sir. Delta Bravo, 4, Kilo.
This impromptu test nicely demonstrates just how sensitive the receiver is, even under less than ideal conditions. But back to the configuration. Down here you can set up users, like if you want to share the device over the internet with other people, it would be sensible to lock it down only to authorized users. Regional settings, let's see, time zone. I'm not in London, I am there somewhere. Yeah. It seems like every time you change something, it throws you back on the status page, but sure, why not? This port up here is what you would use when you use SDRConnect to connect to the nRSP-ST remotely, be it in your local network or over the internet. And the WebSocket is where you would access the device through your web browser. With the assigned IP address as well as the port, it gives you a link that we could click, and then we will get the web interface where we could use the device through our browser. I won't do that right now, I will show that a little later. You could attach a SMB server for file storage over the network so that you can store automatic recordings on your network share. And here's the configuration for the web access. Like, I have require authentication disabled. That's why I do not have any users set up. I don't need that right now. I'm not sharing it with anyone. Down here, disconnect idle users. If people are just sitting on the access and not doing anything, they'll get kicked off. I don't know exactly what the timeout is, but I'm sure that can be found somewhere in the documentation. Down here is the different access modes that I haven't mentioned yet. Basically, there is 3 different modes of accessing the device. Some of them, like the IQ Lite, are for slow internet connections, and the full IQ will, as the name implies, give you the full IQ stream. So that's something you need to set depending on how fast your network is. Now, this is an interesting setting that I have not messed with yet, but apparently you can schedule automatic recordings. And I think that is extremely interesting. Let's say as an amateur radio operator, you do not want to miss a certain event, for instance a net where you're otherwise busy, no problem, just schedule an automatic recording and listen to it later. For the next test, I again connected the nRSP to a power bank and an antenna. This time I'm using a mini whip antenna connected to the antenna B input. Although this active shortwave antenna typically requires 9 to 12 volts, it still provides adequate signal strength when powered with just 4.7 volts through the bias T. SDRConnect is the most versatile way to connect to the nRSP. When properly connected to the network, SDRConnect should automatically recognize the device. After connecting to my nRSP, I selected antenna port B and enabled the bias T. Once the bias T was activated, the noise floor noticeably increased, a clear indication that the amplifier stage in the mini whip antenna is receiving power. It didn't take long to pick up amateur radio activity on the 20-meter band.
Have a nice week. DL4 Echo Bravo Hotel, HB9 UYP, Transit 6.
Shannon Radio's weather broadcast for transatlantic aircraft also came through loud and clear with some fading.
This is Shannon Volmer. Forecast Zurich Valid from the 26th at 1800.
While SDRConnect offers the most flexibility for connecting to the nRSP, it is also possible to connect using nothing more than a web browser. The interface closely resembles SDRConnect and provides many of the same features.
Reply. At 1750 Zulu. Automated activation. Wind 260 degrees, 6 knots.
Since the web client works in any modern browser, you can also access the SDR using most smartphones. However, a small screen size makes it far from ideal. The good news, SDR Play is currently developing a dedicated mobile app to improve the experience. With proper forwarding configured on your router, remote access to the nRSP is possible from anywhere in the world with an internet connection. Instead of demonstrating it here, I'm planning a live stream where you'll be able to test this feature yourself, either via the web interface or through SDRConnect. If you're interested in joining the live stream, leave a comment below and let me know.